Coach, is this the time of year you like? This is the type of win streak you like talking about, going for 6 in a row, right?
Well, you know, tonight everybody that was on that board is talking about, you know, weekends. You know, let's try to get to Monday and then see what happens. So everybody's in the same situation right now. There's nothing different. There's no, you know, I think you don't get it. You don't get anything by being a higher seed. You know, I don't buy any of that. I mean, I think there's a lot of good teams out there, and there's a lot of tough matchups, and it still comes down to the best team at the end of 3 weekends is going to be the national champion, and that's just the way it is. It doesn't matter. We've won a national championship being the #1 seed, and we've lost a national championship being the #1 seed. So where you're seeded, I don't know. You still got to win. You still got to play.
What caught your eye in your region?
In my region?
Yeah.
In our region, I should say. When you have the schedule that we have, you know, it's hard to get a bracket that doesn't have at the very top a bunch of teams that you've already played. You know, you're not going to get out of there with a 2, 3, or 4 seed that's a really, really good team that you haven't seen yet this year. I mean, that's the ideal. You know, you want to do that, but that's not realistic. So I'm not surprised, you know, Duke, Maryland, UCLA, I'm not surprised at that 1 iota. You know, is that the best 2, 3, and 4 in the country, you know, in the brackets? I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure everybody thinks their 2, 3, and 4 is the toughest. The biggest surprise to me was West Virginia at 6. I think they're way better than 6. I know Mike well enough, and I saw what they did. Now that they're healthy, they're way better than 6. So whoever's got them early on, they're in trouble.
Geno, you guys haven't had to travel, obviously, since the regular season. How much of an advantage is that going to be in this tournament?
It's been my experience that sometimes being at home is okay. Sometimes it's not so okay. There's a lot of distractions being at home. We have been home since, you know, we were at South Florida, you know. And this second part of the season, we've had stretches where we've been home because our November, December, and January were brutal. But for the NCAA tournament, as far as the NCAA tournament is concerned, I worry sometimes about being at home. I worry about the distractions that kids have. I'll be happy that school starts back up next week. They're off this week, so that's good. I like when our kids are in school. When you're on the road, you can just huddle everybody up, and you can eliminate a lot of distractions. Sometimes the officials get funny against the home team in the NCAA tournament.
How proud are you of this team? I mean, nobody expected you to be #1 team in the country and, you know, be the favorite to win the tournament again. How much has this team come together and really surprised even you?
You know, obviously, when the whole season was getting underway, there was this sense of this is an opportunity for a lot of other teams to really make some highly anticipated changes in the outcome of this season. You know, and I think they said it on TV. You know, there's an awful lot of there was an awful lot of speculation about, you know, who would be the team or the teams that were best positioned to kind of take over the spot that we had because of who we lost to graduation. So I don't know what that did for our players. I don't know how much that helped in our ability to like band together. And I'm just happy that they were able to grow as the season went on. You know, one of the big things that we talk about here is however we play in November, we want to be better in December. And however we are in December, we want to be better in January. That every month we want to be better than we were the month before. And we've kept that focus for as long as I can remember here. So it's never about what our record is, what our streak is, and what our ranking is, or any of that other stuff. How do we get better this month than we were last month? And that's how I judge our success a lot of times. There's some seasons where I show up in the end of February and I go, we're no better than we were in December, and it bothers the hell out of me. This team, I mean, when you think about where we were in November and where we are today, man, they really have come miles from where we were.
Any concern about this group and how they will react to the whole one and done idea and the pressure that always faces UConn?
That's what I've always been a little bit leery of from the very first day of practice. You know, how will this team react in a big situation when it's their first time facing, you know, elimination? I mean, I said to somebody the other day, Lou didn't play in a championship game. So, you know, and a lot of these guys, you know, Kia's the only one who, you know, I don't think Sanaya touched the ball in the NCAA tournament until the last 3 minutes. You know, Gabby got some, Lou, some, Fisa, some. Now, everything's riding on them. But it's been like that all year. So maybe they've kind of gotten accustomed to it. Maybe they look around and go, what's the big deal? What's he worried about? I'm worried about a lot of things.
You talked about the growth of this team as a staff. Is that something that means a lot to you, seeing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we started the season with, you know, a lot of unknowns, a lot of question marks. And we started with, you know, as we talked about for the first time in 10 years, that we didn't have a returning All-American. You know, I mean, that just doesn't happen a lot at Connecticut. You know, some of our guys are going to make All-American this year, I would think. I mean, that's kind of obvious. So next year we'll be right back to where we were. Oh yeah, they got returning All-American at this position. It's the first time we haven't had that. And we needed some people to step up and be great. And we did that. And it's been a challenge for our coaching staff. And we've managed to do it up to this point.
You've expressed concern before about the lack of depth on the bench and foul trouble.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that and how you've prepared for this tournament?
I don't know that we're completely prepared for that. I don't know how you get completely prepared for that. The best way that we could prepare for that would be if I was allowed to pick the officials ahead of time. You know, and say, do not blow the whistle under any circumstances unless it's really a foul. You know, my biggest fear is I show up at one of the games and we get a game officiated like our men's semifinal or semifinal game was the other day, where it's just a nightmare for a coach to be able to manage that. So we have to constantly be on the lookout for that, constantly. You know, so that means that defensively we can't be nearly as good as we've been in the past. We just can't. We just are limited in what we can do. And yet at the same time, you know, we have to figure out a way to stop other teams. And you look at some of the teams in our bracket, you know, Maryland, UCLA, Duke, they score a lot of points. Syracuse, you know. So we've got our work cut out for us.
Geno, I know you don't want to put the cart before the horse or say who you're going to play, but I mean, they made a big thing tonight on TV about, you know, this is the 8th time coming undefeated, and by the end of it, sometimes it was kind of fait accompli. But at the end of this, you could be looking at, say, Maryland, Notre Dame, South Carolina, or Maryland. I mean, that's for real. I'm saying that's not one game for real. You have potential like 3 games.
Yeah.
For real. That's a huge challenge, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, it's funny. With the team we had last season, it's a shame that there were all those upsets because our team was so looking forward to playing the teams you just mentioned one more time, you know. And there were so many upsets, and you end up with 3 new teams in the Final Four that, you know, you're like, wow, how'd that happen? We need that to happen this year, but I don't think it's going to happen twice. My biggest concern going into the season was, are we going to have the kind of team that can navigate these 6 games physically, mentally? You know, can we handle it? Are we mature enough? And are we tough enough? You know, people talk about our non-conference record. I mean, other than Albany, who was a team that we've never seen. I don't even know if we've ever played them. All of these teams, we know who they are. We're very familiar with them. And to have to, luckily you don't have to play all of them, but the ones that are going to be left, if you want to get to that point, is it good that we beat some of those teams early in the year? Yeah. Is it bad? Yeah, I think. You know, the team that's that's great every night has the best chance of winning a national championship, and so you have to be great every night. That's all there is to it.
Geno, have they shown you that they're tough enough, that they can do this job, that they can put 6 more together? I know it's a one at a time kind of thing.
Well, you know, I guess I'm, you know, Mr. Worrywart all the time, but I remember going into the tournament when Stewie was a freshman, and she was terrible the second half of the year. And I remember saying to CD, I think we're going to be all right. She's just going to go off and go crazy. Because for 6 games, hell yeah, Stewie can do it. She couldn't do it for 5 months, but she could do it for 6 games when she was a freshman. Well, now we got guys that have done it for 5 months. And I got to go, come on, guys, 6 more games. Can they? I hope. That's the big unknown. I think that's why everybody's excited about this tournament. You know, there isn't, I don't know that we're, you know, we might be the #1 seed, but I don't know that we're a clear-cut favorite like we have been the last couple of years. I don't think so.
Do you notice something a little different with Katie Lou? Obviously, she had to go most of the way through last year, but she got cheated personally in that last game.
Yeah, she did. She did. She didn't get to play in a national championship game. You know? And it really cost us. You know, it really hurt us.
Does it burn for her?
And I tell her that all the time. I said, show you how important you were last year. You didn't play in a national championship game, and I think we missed you. Not at all. So so I said, so Lou, I know you want to play in this national championship game really, really bad. I know you do. I said, I just hope you get a chance to play in it. So you better make sure that you take care of business right from game 1. And don't start focusing on game 6. So I don't want to thinking about game 6. I want to thinking about game 1. and she is different right now. But she's nowhere near where I want her to be. Not even close. She's got a lot of work to do. She knows that I know it, and a lot of people can't see it, but I can see it. She knows about it.
What are they? Can you share?
Yeah, just things that whatever it is that she's really good at, she needs to take a couple more steps, and she's too young to get it. She's too young. I don't remember that there's ever been this much riding on a sophomore to win a national championship for us. I mean, you think about all the great ones, even Dee and Maya and all those guys. They were like big-time players ahead of them, But this kid, there's a lot riding on her. A lot.
Is it easier to get to her after a 10 for 10 performance, or is it harder?
Well, the things that I'm talking about have nothing to do with the 10 for 10, and she knows it. And I think Lou has the ability to go 10 for 10 every night. My thing is, Lou, how are you going to help us win a national championship if you go 3 for 10 every night? I know what those kids think. I'm not going 3 for 10 every night. I know, good, God bless you. I want you to think like that. Me? I think about that every day. So we're going to try to get Lou to put her in a lot of different positions other than just knocking in threes.
How much better is she?
Huh?
How much better is she at those other things now than she was back in Tallahassee?
Yeah, I mean, even if you go back further, if you look at last year, Lou really wasn't involved in anything other than she was a designated three-point shooter. It's almost like you were playing in a pickup game with a guy who's hurt. Lou, stand there and shoot. And then have a guy on the sideline that when we go on defense, that guy runs back on defense. And then when we come back, that guy gets off the court and Lou's waiting to shoot the ball. So now you look at her and, she's involved in a lot of aspects of the game. And this tournament, I hope, we're going to see a lot more things.
How has this time helped Kia? You had a little bit of a break since you played in the conference title game, and I think this has been
just the rest that she's been able to get. I mean, she's still not 100%. You can see it, and she probably won't be the rest of this season. But she looks good. Not great, but she looks good, and I think she's gotten her timing back a little bit. She needed to be playing, and the fact that we haven't played since then. So once we get back and playing, I think that'll really help her a lot.
Is there a mental hurdle there too that she has, she had to get over?
Yeah. It was both physical and mental, and I think she's in a pretty good place right now. In both ways, physically and mentally.
What were your thoughts? You got down to see Megan Walker play in a championship game, 18 points in the fourth quarter, and just what were your impressions of what she got, how she just willed her team to win like that?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because, I always tend to look at things funny. Meg, you were amazing in that fourth quarter. 18 points, the game-winning bucket, just took over the game. Meg, if you'd have done that in the first quarter, second quarter, and third quarter, you wouldn't be down 11 and you wouldn't need to be a hero. And, she looks at me like, yeah, I know. What she did in that fourth quarter, she's capable of doing that the entire game. But she's a high school kid. She doesn't know enough about that. We're dealing with that with Crystal. When these kids are in high school and they know that, all right, game's on the line, time for me to take over. So there's not a lot that Meg can't do. I'm looking forward to getting her up here. Let's put it that way.
What do you like the most about what she can do? What's the best aspect?
Because when you're to her size, you're not limited to just one thing. You get somebody like Crystal, you're limited. all right, this is my position. This is what I'm going to do. You know, you get somebody like Meg, you can, like Lou. She's like Lou, not as tall, but you can put her anywhere on the floor and she can be successful. You know, it's just a matter of, you know, repetition over and over and over again, and being put in a situation where you're not the best player on the floor every minute of every day. So, you know, there's a reason why everybody in America thought she was the best player, because of the many things that she can do, not the one thing that she can do.
Michaela did it differently. She didn't score it all in the fourth quarter, but she got rebounds and assists and steals.
Yeah, they're completely different players. You know, I'm proud. I'm happy for them that they were able to win championships. And Michaela does it completely different. You know, she's got a lot of Kia Nurse in her, and how she just accomplishes a lot. You know, she accomplishes a lot, and I think she's really going to give us a different kind of dimension that we don't have right now.